Following the moderate box office success but lukewarm critical response to Fantastic Beasts Somewhere to Find Them, Warner Bros. Doubled down on its Wizarding World expansion. The sequel would dive deeper into the rise of Grindelwald, the dark wizard predating Voldemort, and attempt to stitch this storyline into a broader magical history that would justify a 5-film arc. The film follows multiple characters across Europe as Grindelwald rises to power. Newt, reluctantly drawn back into action, navigates alliances and secrets while Credence seeks answers about his origin. Yeah, Credence is back, even though he died in the last movie. That's the thing with this movie. They decide to just retcon so much that was established in part 1. Credence died in the last one, but don't worry, he's back. Jacob comes back, even though he lost his memories in the last one, but don't worry, he's back. Dumbledore plays a chess master role from the sidelines, and the film ends with a twist meant to shake the Wizarding World's foundations. But the twist, along with much of the story, felt forced, contrived, and alienated many longtime fans. JK Rowling again took full screenwriting duties, aiming to show the early formation of key characters like Albus Dumbledore and the ideological tensions threatening the wizarding and non-magical worlds. Unfortunately, what emerged was a sequel that abandoned the Fantastic Beasts premise almost entirely, instead pivoting to political intrigue, forced character reveals and lore-dense exposition. Even the title itself was pretty much a complete misdirection. There are barely any beasts in the film and none of them are fantastic. Production officially began in July 2017 and wrapped by December. Director David Yates returned again, maintaining a visual continuity, but his muted style was increasingly seen as uninspired for a film that should have felt epic. The script was infamously overwritten. Rowling, despite her experience in novels, struggled to adapt that to screenwriting, resulting in tangled subplots, erratic character arcs, and endless lore drops that confused even hardcore fans. Johnny Depp's casting as Grindelwald also became a lightning rod of controversy. Following allegations of domestic abuse, fans launched petitions demanding his removal. However, despite fan pleas, Rowling refused to consider recasting him, as she felt the mutual agreement that Depp and his ex-wife made to each other at the time would enable them to move on from the controversy. And we've got Ezra Miller anyway, so we might as well.
So you keep saying.
Rowling and Warner Bros. Defended Depp, but the damage to fan trust was done. His slippery, eccentric performance polarized viewers. Some called it haunting, many called it incoherent and miscast. In fact, Depp was a huge fan of the Potterverse and was so eager to be in the movie that he signed on without reading the script. Because that's never backfired.
I've been looking forward to this.
Additionally, the story necessitated the casting of a young Dumbledore, which was considered for Christian Bale, beautiful Clumberface, Mark Strong and Jared Harris, before the selection of Jude Law. Once he had the role, Law met up with Rowling for a 2-hour meeting in which they discussed the history of the character, as well as any details he might need to know in order to play the role authentically. He brought subtle gravitas, but his screen time was minimal, and Dumbledore's alleged romantic connection to Grindelwald was awkwardly sidelined, a fact criticised for dodging authentic LGBTQ+ representation. Other key additions and problems included Claudia Kim as Nagini, which sparked backlash for casting an Asian woman as a submissive character destined to become Voldemort's snake, even though the name Nagini is Indian and the actress is from Korea. Once again, JK Rowling's like, Asia, they're all the same. No, she's not racist. She cast a black man as the teacher everyone hates, who gets hanged from a tree by a white guy. And she cast an Asian girl to play the woman who tries to free slaves. And everyone hates her for trying to free the slaves. So in a weird way, Neville actually decapitated an innocent woman. Dick move, Neville, I have to say.
Is that it?
Ezra Miller's Credence was brought back with very little purpose and even more cryptic screen time. Catherine Waterston's Tina was once a lead, but now is barely present without any explanation. And Zoe Kravitz was brought in as Letta Lestrange, who was praised, but her storyline was also convoluted and ended in frustration. Much like the first one, almost the entire movie was shot on sound stages at Leavesden Studios in Hertfordshire. The only real location used was Lecoq Abbey in Wiltshire, which served as the exterior for the Hogwarts scenes. The original runtime was nearly 2 hours and 45 minutes. A full 14 scenes were cut out, including more material for Tina, Yusuf, and Nagini. Fans later demanded a director's cut, though one never surfaced. Why would you want more of this?
Sorry, there must be some sort of mistake.
Eventually, Craptastic Beasts: The Quest for More Money was released on November the 16th, 2018, but unlike previous installments, it wasn't well received by critics or fans. Many viewed it as overstuffed with too many plot threads and excessive fan service, some feeling that the movie was more interested in setting up future sequels than telling its own compelling story. So, the MCU.
Does this make sense?
The Grindelwald escape sequence was one of the most technically complex sequences involving dozens of visual effects layers and aerial stunts, and it received mixed reviews as it was flashy but quite confusing. Rowling's decision to make late revealed character Aurelius Dumbledore was kept secret even from the cast until late in filming, but it was a move that baffled fans and contradicted established canon. That's okay because she also put McGonagall in the film, even though by her own timeline McGonagall wasn't even born yet.
Go with Professor McGonagall, please.
Again, can we stop pretending that she's a good writer now, please? On top of that, despite grossing $654 million worldwide, this was nowhere near as much as the studio was hoping for, putting their plan for a 5-movie saga into question. Oh no!
Who is this guy?
Making it the lowest grossing Wizarding World movie to date, despite a bigger budget, bigger cast, and deeper lore. Critics called it overstuffed, cold, and needlessly complex, while fans described it as fan fiction made canon, retcon heavy, and emotionally hollow. The backlash was so severe that Warner Brothers delayed the third installment, reworked the script. This installment is often cited as the moment when the Wizarding World franchise truly lost its cultural momentum. What should have been a thrilling expansion became a confusing chore, alienating even the most loyal Potterheads. At least it has a fitting opening. We see Johnny Depp still traumatized after having cleared up Amber Heard's poo. I just think there's so much more potential to do with this universe. Why not make a prequel trilogy about Voldemort? Do what Star Wars did, one about his childhood, then his adolescence, and then his turn to the dark side. It'll be a lot more interesting than this tripe, because they try to do it with Credence, but who the hell cares about Credence? Even the way Grindelwald escapes is random. He can teleport and switch places with someone because magic.
You will always remember this as the day that you almost caught Captain Jack Sparrow.
Why do strange creatures love you so much?
Especially that JK Rowling beast. Oh. Ah, Depp is looking at his movie career. Hey, I didn't know John Cena was in this. Admittedly, it does have some decent cinematography here or there as Jude Dumbledore looks over the obviously not a set of London. It does look pretty good. But I hope you have your nostalgia pants on!
If I leave the country, they will put me in Azkaban. Ridiculous.
Well done.
You will no longer teach defense against the dark arts.
You will not be able to transform back!
It's an unbreakable vow.
Nicolas Flamel.
And Corvus Lestrange.
Remember the thing?
I cannot move against Grindelwald. It has to be you.
Not me, not Hermione, yo. I'll give the film this much. It at least gets me invested in the first half an hour, which is a lot more than I can say about the first movie. And Jude Law's only been in the damn thing for 5 minutes and he's already a better Dumbledore than Michael Gambon ever was. God bless them for trying to recapture the charmed prisoner of Azkaban with Newt riding a seaweed dragon from the planet Boredom. But it doesn't even last 7 seconds, so it doesn't work. Kinda like me in bed. I just love how the movie does anything in its power to deliberately retcon anything established in the first movie. So pretty much everything at the end of the first movie is completely pointless.
You've enchanted him, haven't you?
What? I have not.
Will you stop reading my mind? Queen Eve brought him here against his will.
What the hell is with JK Rowling and rape?
Why is it wrong to want to marry you?
The lack of consent? Okay, he does actually want to marry her, but she's using spells to force him to do it. This is so messed up. The Nagini thing is so stupid. So Voldemort kept an Asian woman as a pet all these years as a slave and then Neville murdered her. But throw another fat joke in there.
I'm afraid we keep no food in the house.
She also claimed that the reveal that Nagini was actually a human cursed to turn into a snake was always her intention when she was writing the books. Yeah, no. It's just another one of her claims that she made after the fact because she realised that she has no talent and can't write anything else. Oh, by the way, Dumbledore was gay! Oh, by the way, wizards didn't use toilets, they defecated and urinated themselves and magicked it away, even though the Chamber of Secrets was hundreds of years old. And by the way, Nagini was a person.
If I could show you something better.
Like Harry Potter? It does have some decent shots, but the same problem as the first movie arises. It's just boring.
Keep him safe. For the greater good.
For the greater good. Oh, they did that on purpose. They try their best to be all entrancing and whimsical by having Newt entice Bluto from the labyrinth. Their efforts are adorable. And they even try to trick us into liking the movie by showing Hogwarts with the Potter theme playing, but it's not going to work, gosh darn it. And at least they made Dumbledore cool in this one. I will say, at least the throwbacks in this one feel a lot more natural and not just forced in for the sake of it like the first movie. Except Nagini, she's literally only in it for the nostalgia. And Nicolas Flamel looking like Mordecai in the WWE for some reason. Seriously, he serves no purpose to the overall plot. He's just there because prequel. You've also got to love how Grindelwald is in the damn title and he's hardly in the bloody film. Oh, there he is, yeah, remember him? They still discuss Credence as if I'm supposed to care about this boring Tom Riddle wannabe, and I do not. That's the problem with this demented turd looming over the city again. It's just like a rehash, and this is why these movies don't work. This doesn't come across as a sequel, it comes across as a second act of the same movie. But oh no, we meet Newt's brother, and now I can't even pretend to care. I tried.
I want you to be happy, but I don't want you to be happy that I'm happy, because I'm not.
I know the feeling. And they can try all they want to get me to give a damn about Newt falling for Adol and Frank. Yeah, see how that works out for you. Jesus Christ, the CGI is terrible at points. What the hell is this? They do try their best to recapture the charm of the Potter films, but they just don't work. Every aspect is boring, lifeless, and meaningless. Like before, the acting across the board is great, but the script is just like watching paint dry. Remember when these films were about Newt? At this point in the movie, we're nearly at the 2-hour mark, and you'd expect them to be wrapping up by now, but no, nothing epic is even happening. It's just stretched out beyond belief. I will admit, for the 20 seconds that Johnny Depp is in the movie, he is fantastic. They really didn't deserve him. Oh no! Not the random woman we've barely seen! I hope she makes it out okay.
He knows what you were born, not who you are.
Credence!
Oh, will you stop trying to get us to care about a stupid Credence character? It's a stupid character played by a stupid rapist. It's actually depressing how good Depp is in this. It's about time he gave a good performance. It's been a while. The ending is pretty cool as Credence finds out that he's a Dumbledore. Yeah, it was a common theme at the time, but it does serve well as a decent cliffhanger, but my God, this movie sucks. It's not as bad as the first one, at least it kept me interested at the start, and Depp is genuinely amazing in it, but it still suffers from all of the same problems. There's no interesting development and no interesting plot points. Fantastic Beasts: The Crime of Grindelwald was a turning point, and not in a good way. It struggled to tell a clear story, mishandled its characters, and smothered any remaining magic under dense exposition and retroactive world building. For most viewers, it represents the worst kind of prequel, one that tries too hard to matter and ends up undermining what came before. It's a film burdened by ambition, lost in its own mythology, and weighed down by decisions no amount of CGI or nostalgia can save. The series just needs to come to an end, and thankfully, it won't be much longer.